Here's a prediction we all may not want to hear. The presidential race is so close, we may not know the winner on Election Day. Both parties are preparing for post-election legal battles that could go on for a long time.
The GOP is training 200,000 poll watchers to spot any red flags at voting sites. Altogether, 900 lawyers are standing by for legal challenges. CBN's chief political analyst David Brody has this report.
In a presidential race expected to end with a razor-thin margin, the Republican National Committee is focused on what it calls an election integrity battle plan. RNC Co-Chair Lara Trump tells CBN News Republicans aren't playing around.
We want to make sure that we send a message loud and clear out there that if you're a person who is willing to cheat in our elections, we will find you, we'll track you down, and we'll prosecute you to the full extent of the law.
They don't want a repeat of 2020, an election they believe had signs of mischief throughout. This time, their team of 500 lawyers across the battleground states filed 125 lawsuits in 25 states, focused on cleaner voter rolls and more ID requirements, just to name a few. They've also recruited more than 200,000 volunteers to serve as on-site election poll watchers. CBN News spoke to the RNC chairman about this key component. How is it going to work? What's it going to look like on Election Day for folks?
They're going through training, and we're going to be able to deploy them all across the country as poll observers to make sure that we are in the room whenever a vote is being cast or counted. You said in the room. Can you kind of help us through that? If something is out of sorts, somebody that's not on the voter rolls comes in, their name's not on the list, and you give them a ballot anyway, well, we'll need to flag that, right? If somebody comes in and tries to vote again, or if there's any other discrepancy that comes up, and then we teach them, how do you raise the flag?
Democrats say Republicans are not being honest about their real intent.
People who vote, like 99.99999%, are voting legally. So when Republicans often talk about election integrity, it's just an excuse to restrict people from voting.
Democrats will also have tens of thousands of poll watchers out in force, along with some 400 lawyers who have been preparing for a legal battle ever since Trump left office. That's because the party's bigger concern is possible legal battles after Election Day.
As we prepare for 2024, Donald Trump is plotting his next crime. We know it will involve election interference. We know it'll involve efforts to prevent the will of the voters from having its day.
The RNC chairman shares the feeling that what happens at the polls will probably be settled in court. How concerned are you that this could be in litigation for 30 to 60 days afterwards?
Very concerned, and we have built up our legal teams all across the country.
Lara Trump doesn't believe it will come to that.
I believe that if we have a free, fair, and transparent election, Donald Trump will be victorious on November 5th. And I feel like we're going to shut it down early, David, because I think it's going to be such a huge vote for him that we're not even going to wait until the wee hours of the morning for people to call it. It will be an early call.
David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
Well, I hope it doesn't turn into 2020 where it takes the Supreme Court to tell us who won. We need to make sure there is election integrity, but most importantly, we need to make sure that we vote. So we have a great privilege of electing our leaders and determining the force of the future of our country, the future of our social contract. And part of that means that you have to vote. So please, be registered to vote. Make sure you vote. The early voting has already started, and from what I'm hearing, the turnout is phenomenal, including voters in Western North Carolina. They might not have a home, but some of them are still showing up to vote. Gary Lane has that story and more from the CBN Newsroom. Gary?
That's right, Gordon. About 15,000 voters live in Yancey County, one of the hardest hit areas in western North Carolina. One polling place was washed into the river. Others are being used to store and distribute aid. Election officials scrambled to prepare for early voting this week. On the first day, more than 700 people showed up. So far this week, at least 3,000 have cast their ballots. One local poll official said that even those who don't have a home are coming out to vote. For Election Day, they've requested 6 tents from FEMA that come equipped with power generators, heaters, portable toilets, and a floor. The North Carolina Board of Elections passed rules making it easier for people to vote in areas affected by that storm.